Welcome to the lecture of data science. In this particular video, we will see the topic from unit number 5, that is the simple linear regression. And we will continue our topic, that is the validation of the simple linear regression model. So let's start that what is the response variable? The response variable means my dependent variable y, and the explanatory variable means my independent variable x. So in the previous lecture, we have seen the validation of the simple linear regression model. So how to validate the model? So whether the model, it is a good model or it is the average or it is the bad. So how to check that? So for the validation, we have this 6 different techniques. So the first one is the coefficient of determination, that is the R square, that we have already seen in our previous video lecture. So let's quickly revise that what is the R square. So coefficient of determination is the proportion, or we can say that it will give us the value in terms of percentage, that how accurate the model is. So just for an example, that my value of R square is 1. It means my model accuracy is 100 percentage. So always the value of R square will lie between 0 and 1, and you can indicate it in terms of percentage that we have seen in the previous video lecture. So suppose my value of R square is 1. It means my all the data points falls perfectly on the regression line. When my model accuracy is 100%, it means there are no errors present in my model. So what is the error? The error means the distance between, that is the vertical distance between the data point and the regression line. But when my R square value is 1, it means my model accuracy is 100%. It means no errors. It means my all the data points will fall on the regression line. So you can see over here, now there is no vertical distance between the data point and the regression line. So my model accuracy is 100% when I get a regression line which will pass through all my data point. When the R square value is 0, it means my model accuracy is 0%. It means that my regression line is horizontal. So you can view over here that this is my regression line which is horizontal. So over here you can see that for any value of x, that is for any value of the independent variable, your dependent variable value will remain constant. It means you can't predict any value of y for any value of x. It means there is no relation between x and y. So it means my value of R square is 0. So my model accuracy is 0%. So this is the ideal value, that is the theoretical value that you are getting. But practically always the R square value you will get that is greater than 0. That is the practically, this is the ideal value, that is the theoretically. That is the minimum value of R square is 0. So now let's see the second type of the validation, that is the spurious regression. So what is this spurious regression that we have to see? So suppose this is my graph, and in this my graph I have two different line, that is my one line is for x and my another line is for y, and it shows some relation just like the simple linear regression. So my equation is like this, that is yt equals to axt plus b. So it is my equation just like similar to the linear equation line. So this t is my time factor. So my x and y, both the variable depends also on the time factor. Now from this particular graph, I have separated two different graphs. That is, my one graph only shows the x value and my another graph only shows the y value. So what is happening over here, that we are telling that my dependent variable, that is y, is dependent on my variable x. So when I separate these two values, that is my x value and the y value, then you can see that the shape of the graph is not changing. If my value of y is dependent on my value of x, then when I separate this y from the x, then my y value should change. It means my shape of the y graph should change, but it is not changing over here. So what we can tell, that there is some third factor, that is my time factor is working over here. So my time factor t is working over here in my this particular regression. So my value of x and y is dependent on my third factor, that is my time factor t. So over here, this spurious regression is giving us the illusion that my variable y is dependent on x. But actually it is not so. The truth is that my value of y and x, it is dependent on my some third factor. That third factor is suppose the time factor. So what you are visualizing, that you are getting some linear regression line, but that particular line is not truly the complete linear regression line, because the value of y is not dependent on the value of x. So for this spurious regression, you will get the value of r square high. So as you are getting the value of r square high, it means the percentage of accuracy you are getting is high. So what you will do, that the value of r square is high, it means my percentage accuracy of the model is good. It means my model is a good fit. So you will conclude that. But over here, for this spurious regression, it is giving us the illusion that it is having a simple linear regression equation. It means there is some relation between x and y, but in reality it is not so. It is only the illusion. So in this illusion, you will also get the value of r square as high. There is one more important factor, that is the Durbin-Watson factor. So when you are getting the Durbin-Watson factor as low, it means there is some wrong thing happening in your model. So if you are finding you are having the value of r square as high, and with this value of r square as high, if you are finding the Durbin-Watson factor as low, it means there is something wrong in your model. So it means it is a type of the spurious regression. It is not your original simple linear regression. So what are the properties of the spurious regression, and what is the spurious regression? So you can see like that, that is, it is a spurious because the regression will most likely indicate a non-existing relationship. So what this spurious regression will tell, it will give us the illusion of a non-existing relationship. It means the relationship which is not exist, which does not exist in reality. So in my this particular uh, equation, that is my equation of y and x. So previously we are telling that my equation of y and x is like this, that is the y equals to ax plus b, but it is giving us the illusion it is a not non-existing relationship. The value of y is not dependent on my value of x. The second point is the coefficient of estimate will not converge to 0. So whatever the coefficients you are getting, that will not tends to 0. Originally it should tend to 0. The t value is most often significant. That is the t test that you are performing. For the spurious regression, you will get the value of r square as high. The errors in this spurious regression are serially correlated with each other. So you will get a line just like the simple linear regression line, and the Durbin-Watson factor in this spurious regression is low. So these are the properties of the spurious regression. That what is this spurious regression? It is the non-existing relationship. It has the t value most significant. The value of r square is high. The errors are serially correlated, and the Durbin-Watson factor is low. Also, the coefficient estimate will not converge towards 0 in my spurious regression. The third type of test that you can perform, that is whether your model is a good fit or it is an average one. So the third one is the hypothesis test. So what the hypothesis test is telling, suppose the regression coefficient beta 1 captures the existence of a linear relationship between the response variable and the explanatory variable. So suppose my value of beta 1 is equals to 0, then we can conclude that there is no statistically significant linear relationship between the two variables. So suppose my equation is like this, that is y equals to beta 0 plus beta 1 x. If my value of beta 1 is equals to 0, then what will happen? I will get the equation as y equals to beta 0. Now this particular equation is not a equation of the linear regression. So what I can say, that is for the hypothesis test, if my value of beta 1 is 0, it means there is no statistical relation between the y and the variable x, because this particular term will become 0, so my x will be omitted from this. So the fourth test that you can perform for the validation is the analysis of the variance, that is the F test. So what is the F test? That is the ANOVA, that is the analysis of the variance. Over here we have to focus on the variance. So we can test that is the overall model is statistically significant or not based on the ANOVA. So for the simple linear regression, the null and the alternative hypothesis in ANOVA and the t-test are exactly same, and thus there will be no difference in the p-value. So let us visualize that what the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis for the F test is. So the null hypothesis is telling like this, that is H0. It means that there is no statistically significant relationship between the y and any explanatory variable, it is my variable x. It means my all regression coefficients are 0. It means my value of all the coefficients, that is the beta 0 and beta 1, are 0. That is what the null hypothesis is telling us, that is H0. If it is HA, it means my alternative hypothesis. It is telling us that not all the regression coefficients are 0. So all the regression coefficients are not 0, only some are 0. So you can say like this also, that is my null hypothesis, that all regression coefficients are equals to 0 for H0. And for the alternative hypothesis, that not all the regression coefficients are equals to 0. Over here in H0, all the coefficients are 0, and in the HA, not all the coefficients are 0. So this is one of the tests that you can say whether your model is a good fit or not. If it is coming H0, it means there is no linear relation is there in your data set. It means you can't find any simple linear regression line. If it is HA, then you have to visualize again that what is there in your data set. So these are the different factors for the validation, that R square is giving us the answer in terms of percentage, a T test, F test is giving us the answer in terms of the null and the alternative hypothesis. So the previous one, the test, that is the a hypothesis test, it is telling us about the beta 1 factor. So all the validations have the different factors, and lastly it is telling that whether your model it is a good one or it is the bad one. Now let's see the residual analysis. So it is one type of a validation of the simple linear regression. So the residual means the error. So you have to keep in mind, this is important one, that what is the residual analysis. So residual means the error analysis, which is important to check whether the assumptions of the regression model have been satisfied or not. So the error analysis you have to do, and in that error you have to visualize that in what form the error occurs. So also it has some pattern, the error has also some kind of patterns. So the residuals, it means the error. What is the error? The error means the difference between the actual value and the predicted value. So the actual value is given by yi and the predicted value is given by the yi cap. So the residuals are normally distributed. So what's its shape? Its shape is, that is the normal distribution. The variance of the errors, that is the variance of the residual, is constant. So it is also called as the homoscedasticity. The functional form of the regression is correctly specified, and if there are no any outliers present, these are the different properties of the residual analysis. Now the last one is the outlier analysis. So what is the outlier? The residual is different. Residual means errors. Outliers means the observations who will show a large deviation from the mean value. So we have already seen that what is the outlier. Suppose this all are my data points. All my data points forms a particular pattern, and my this particular data point is very far, is very different from all other data point. It means this particular data point is called as the outlier. Now, how the outlier will affect in our simple linear regression model. So as this my outlier is present, then you can see there is some change in the coefficient due to the outlier. So suppose I omit this particular outlier. If I omit this particular outlier, then my simple linear regression line will be like this. Suppose it is like this. Now over here, if I'm omitting this outlier, then my intercept is different and my slope of the line is different. You can see the inclination of the line and the intercept, that from where the line starts. Now, if I consider this particular outlier, so if I'm considering this particular outlier, then what will be my regression line? Then you can see that my regression line will be like this. It means my coefficient will change. The coefficient means the intercept and the slope. Then you can see that my line starts from here and you can see the slope of the line. So this particular outlier will change the coefficient of your simple linear regression line. Now let's see that what the outliers are. So outlier analysis is used in the various types of data set. So where it is used in the graphical data set, it is used in the numerical data set, in the text data set also, and in the pictures also. So the identification of the outliers can lead to the discovery of the useful and the meaningful knowledge. So the outlier detection is the process of finding the data objects with behaviors that are very different from the expectation. So what we are expecting, that our data point should fall in a particular pattern, but it is not falling. It is very far from that particular pattern. It means the outlier detection they are calling. So such type of objects which is very far from the our general pattern, that objects are called as the outliers, or we can also call it as the anomalies. So for the outlier analysis, we have the following different methods, that is the z-score, Mahalanobis distance, Cook's distance, leverage values, and df beta and df fit values. So we will see all these values turn by turn in our next lecture. So till that, keeping it till here, thank you for watching.